Hey, AGI adventure gamers and developers. Let's say you find yourself in a situation where you've got some stairs. And if you find yourself in this kind of situation, then you've got to figure out what's going to happen if the character is carefully walking up the stairs and then they walk off the edge of the stairs. Well, I think we can all agree that having the character just be able to walk off the edge of the stairs is not satisfying. So we've got to ask ourselves, what would Roberta do? And I think we all know that that character would perish. And so I've been thinking about, well, what's the easiest way to detect when a user walks off an edge like that? I mean, this is kind of a complicated geometry, and I don't want to do a bunch of weird checks for that. But the AGI system has a capability to detect when the user gets on a water surface. And that seems like a really good mechanism in my mind for a scene like this where there is no water, of course. I can basically have the system throw a flag as soon as I cross that border. Well, to do that, I'm going to have to detect this edge right here, this line. So, and that line is drawn with tools. If you draw the picture to start with, it's drawn with tools like this and commands like we see here, or we can actually look at the JSON file that contains the commands directly, and I think that would be more interesting. So let's look at that. So if I jump over here, I happen to know that these are the commands, the vector commands that draw the scene behind us, and in particular, these are the vector commands that draw the edge of the stairs. And I can demonstrate that maybe by setting the color of these particular commands right here, these corner draw commands, to 1, which is dark blue. So I'm going to save that and recompile. And you can see they're dark blue. So that's awesome. And if I cross them, okay, you see this little flag that turns true up in the upper left-hand corner? That's this ego on water flag that the system maintains. And I'm going to leverage that. Now, I don't want a visual blue line in the graphic because that sort of just gives away a little too much. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the vector file here, and I'm going to use pry set color, and I'm going to leave it at 1. And so I'm basically saying that I want the priority to be 1. So let's recompile and render, and you can see what that looks like. So it's exactly as we want it to be, really the dark line there. But if we go into the priority mode, then we can see, oh yeah, there's a priority there that when the user walks over that, we're going to get our flag. So now let's try that. So even here, which is pretty low, I can still get the flag. Now here in this area, I'm probably going to want to trigger a different animation if I want to be nice to the character where they can get up. But once they get past a certain point, then they fall to their death. And that just depends on how nice I want to be. So once I've got that flag being thrown by the system, now I'm going to write some code to react to it. So I'm going to go over to the code editor here, and I'm going to jump to this AGI file. Here we can see the start of the room where we set the player's position and so on. And outside of that initialization statement there, I'm going to put a new statement that is if is set f system ego on water, which is looking at a specific flag in the system that I've given a symbolic name to so that it's easy to read the code. And now I can do something when the user hits that edge. Now, I'm going to have to ask myself, what would one of our two guys say if they were about to fall off the stairs? Because I don't want to get into doing an animation just yet. So I'm just going to put something like print, and then we might say something like, oh, sludge butt. I'm not sure they'd be that nice, but we'll go with that. So now we're just going to say, if we cross the water boundary, we're going to print this statement. All right, let's try it. We're going to recompile. And now we're going to walk up the steps, initially very carefully. Careful, careful, careful. Now, I don't have directional keys. I just have a little left and right and up and down arrows on my laptop. So now if I just walk across this boundary, oh sludge butt. So now I can use that test, this if statement here, to trigger an animation, right? Now let's just do something simple. Let's just have the character fall straight down. We're just going to run that and maybe kill the character. And later, I can replace that with a more specific animation, like the character going over head over heels and falling down and tumbling down, or I can create some like an effect of speed or something like that. I could add a different kind of view animation, but for now, I can take the current cell in the loop and just have it fall straight down. So to do that, let's go back to our code, and we're going to insert a few more commands. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, here we go. So what we're going to do is when we receive the trigger, we're going to say, oh, sludge butt. Then we're going to stop motion. We're going to get the ego's position, specifically interested in the X position here. Y, I know I want to go all the way to the bottom of the screen. And then I'm going to ask the system to move the ego to whatever X coordinate that I'm already at, to the new Y coordinate, which is 165, which basically means I'm going to fall straight down at a step rate of 6. And when that's complete, I want you to throw the dead flag, which I can use to do something later. Okay, so this may not be the end game for this, but this basically takes this up another notch. So let's go ahead and try it. So we're going to save this. We're going to compile. We're going to reload. And now we're going to carefully walk up the stairs, see how far we can get. You can see I'm already nervous. Oh, and there I triggered the first event. Now I didn't fall very fast. So I'm going to want to tweak those parameters if this is the mechanism that I'm going to use. But you can see it's already much more difficult to walk up the stairs now because, one, again, I don't have diagonal keys on this keyboard. So I've got to be real careful to kind of like hug the edge of the walls here. Oh, and there I fell off the edge. So again, I can play around with the rate of the fall and add other animations and other view animations, but this gives you guys a kind of a sense of that. And I really wanted to figure out, what was an easy way to detect a fall. Maybe some improvements I could make again would be the animations, or actually moving the actual fall detection line below the black line. Just move it down a little bit so that there's a little bit of a margin of error for the character. But I think these stairs are something that Roberta would approve.